Hi, everybody. Welcome. It's David Grood, for those of you who don't know me, and I am with the most amazing friend of mine and special guest, Dr. Enolia Foti, who is a shaman, and she's from the US, from New York, and she's living. Can I say where you're living?
Yes, you can.
She's living in Angola in Africa. How exciting is that? So there's so much we could talk about. I've been so looking forward to this and so excited about it. Um, I want to ask you, because this is the one question that came up for me, because there's so many. But I wanted to ask you, who have been the teachers that have, or healers that have influenced you the most and have made the deepest impact on you, and why?
Wow. And why? You know, it's a funny thing that they always say the teacher is ready and the students will come. And I'm going to share with you that it wasn't any one person, it was a series of people. And they impacted my life because it was like I called for them and then they showed up and then I was grateful. So first of all, before I even start, David, thank you for having me on your show. I'm excited to be here. You are just this beautiful light that's always shining, and I'm so grateful to have you as my friend and my peer. And it's absolutely just wonderful to be here. And for those who have influenced my life, wow.
And it's a
So, first
mutual
of
fan
all,
club.
the first person I would say is grandmother Isabel Mawasaki. And why? Because she showed me another way to live when I needed it at the most. She showed me that there was compassionate leadership with all of the faux pas I made. And if you really, really want to know that, I wrote a book about it. That's how profound it was. It's called Finding My Sovereign Voice with My Grandmother Elder,
Wow.
because it was a huge impact that she made on my life. And I was coming from corporate and I didn't know any other way. And she showed me another way. The other person I would say is Grandmother Shirley Sweet. Um, she showed me how to structure my strengths, and my strengths are empowerment. And the teaching of that empowerment and working with people and giving them a method by which they have a pathward inwards to follow. And she shared with me not how to structure my work by sharing her work, but how to structure my work and by sharing metaphysical rules that engaged me to structure my work.
Wow.
And she took my work to another octave. So
That's
anyone
brilliant.
who's ever gone through my Empower to Succeed methodology, thank you, Grandmother Shirley Sweet. Grandfather Lynch Archuleta. Grandfather Lynch Archuleta out of Arizona, phenomenal man who did desert intensives with me, showed me the desert, showed me what it was like to read the desert, showed me how to take all of the baggage I was carrying on my back off.
Mm.
We all walk around with with grudges and everything else that we hold from life.
Mm. So
And
true.
he taught me how to let it go, how to truly
Beautiful.
let go and let it go for life. I would say that those are the most impactful people that I encountered, as well as many others, but those were the most.
And what about your time in Africa?
My time in Africa has been phenomenal and continues to be because Africa has another rhythm and another beat. And I'm learning the rhythm and the beats. And I'm grateful to have met the spiritual people out here, the Sangomas. I've been initiated of Mbundu, and it's been a phenomenal um, journey to learn the rhythms of this earth and this motherland, and know that I really feel in flow. If that makes sense.
It does make
That
sense.
really
It's such a grace. I just have to say this from knowing getting to know you, and I only met you sort of recently, and it's been such a grace to get to experience you and your work and to know you, and it's just like, "Oh my god, amazing." So, anybody that's lucky enough to open and have that grace and that good fortune, wow, you will be astounded. That's what I have to say to everybody who gets to experience you and your work.
Thank you. Thank
Mm.
you. Uh, all by the grace of the divine. All by the grace of the divine.
So, I mean, it's such a big gift that you bring into our world and to humanity. I'd love to personally see you teach more in groups and in person and online, and I know you're going to be. I know it's going to rev up for you for sure.
Yeah, well, David, I actually am. I'm teaching Empower, Achieve, Succeed through Self-Mastery online right now to a group of, I think I have like 45 or 50 people that meet with
Beautiful.
me every Sunday. And thank you to the Evolution Quantum platform and academy that embraced my program and put it online. But I do groups, I do one-on-ones. Um, Groups are so much more impactful because you have each other to talk to and you have each other to share and everything else like that. But like, and I actually I actually start a group every certain cycle. So yeah, they're actually there. It's as you get to know me, and I'm like this quiet person in background. I advertise, but I don't advertise a lot. I guess I need to do that more.
And maybe not, because the people that get to meet you and know you really, really love you. So it's just,
Thank you.
and are you working on another book?
So how I found my sovereign voice from my grandmother elder is my first cycle of books of the journey that I took. And I think that that's a real powerful book because it shows my transition from corporate to another life. There are many
Mm.
of us who reach a precipice in life and we don't know how to change where we're at. We feel trapped. We feel like a caged bird, right? I have the
Or where to go?
yeah. And all of the responsibilities, the people that are dependent on us, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And that book I thought was really, really powerful because it shows what I went through, the actual change mentally of what I went through to figure out that, change is possible. And so there's a part two, there's a part three to that book, and I'm working on part two. So I'm really excited about that. But right now I have four books that are out there for those. One's called Know Thyself, 30 Days to Conscious Living for people who are just becoming aware and want to ask themselves the right questions. And I actually have like a whole video section that goes with that. And then the second one is How I Found My Sovereign Voice, my grandmother elder. That's important because I actually wrote a comparable journal to it that sums up every chapter of the lessons that I had to learn. And
Wow.
then ask you the questions as it pertains to your life, those same things that I went through, using my life as an example. And then the final book that I have out right now already is Empower, Achieve, Succeed. Well, it's actually the 7 Principles to Self-Mastery, which goes along with my master class. But those 7 principles are tools that you already possess, but a different way to look at them. And then the teachers that taught me the iterations of why I came up with that particular principle.
So there's many people that know about shamans, and there's many people that don't know about shamans.
Yes.
And different shamans do different things.
Yes, they do. Agreed.
So so how would you describe, besides I mean the empowerment is huge just in itself, and the guidance. Um do you heal physical things with people? Do you work more on emotional pieces, mental and psychological pieces, or all of it? What would you say how you work as a shaman, what that would look like, and how would you define that for people that aren't really familiar with shamanism or what a shaman does or is?
So many people can define shamanism in various different ways. I define it as living in harmony and in balance with the world, right?
Well, that's
That's
an
what it's about.
awesome
Living.
definition.
And so in that living and in that relationship with the world, in that symbiosis, I am an earth keeper, okay? And I work with the earth. And there are fire keepers, there are shamans who work with animals, everybody knows about the shamans that work with plant medicines. I work with the earth. And as an earth keeper, my lineage is with also the Kiros Indians of Peru, along with the Ojibwe Nation. I am a grandmother of initiated grandmother by the Ojibwe. And I do my energetic medicine. I am in the lineage, officially in the lineage, like
Where are the
paperly.
Ojibwe people?
The Ojibwe in northern Canada,
Wow.
okay? And their reservation is actually in Serpent River, and that would be 4 hours north and 6 hours west of Toronto.
Wow. Okay.
Okay. Yeah. And my grandmother, I spent lots of time with her there and learning and teaching, her teaching me and understanding the ways of the Ojibwe and the songs and drum making and just so
How
many
does
lessons, so many lessons.
how does a New York girl, okay, not to call you a girl, but lady, end up at the Ojibwe reservation in northern Canada? That sounds like a
Because
great story in itself.
it is. This New York girl was working corporate and for Fortune 500 designing computer networks
Hmm.
and was not happy. And there was a longing in my heart. And the longing in my heart wasn't just to shift my life, but the longing of my heart was also to know my traditions and my background of being African and Native. And having done a DNA test and knowing that I had Cherokee, I had a percentage of Cherokee within me, I longed for a grandmother to teach me. So my husband at the time gave me a gift to the 13 Indigenous grandmothers upstate New York.
Wow.
And I went to that conference and it attracted all kinds of other grandmother and grandfathers. Now you have to understand that grandmother and grandfather actually mean elder and medicine woman and medicine man in plain terms. And so I met my first medicine woman, grandmother Isabel, at the 13 Indigenous. She was actually pointed out by grandmother Margaret of the 13 Indigenous grandmothers as her protege. And I found the courage to go to this woman and say, please, will you teach me? Will you show me? And I didn't know what to ask her. So at the time I asked her about herbalism and herbs and etc. And she was like, well, if you're really serious, here's my contact information. Come up and see me sometime. And 2 months later, I went and spent the weekend with her. We ended up collaborating on bringing together a retreat, her retreat, and I brought many women there to ensure that I could learn from her and to make sure that she had plenty of participants for the retreat and not say it's not successful. So it was there that that started the whole journey. That started everything.
Amazing.
So you asked me, what kind of shamanism I practice. I work with the earth. I work with the stone people, and I work with energy medicine, and I am able to effectively work on the luminous body, the luminous field that we deal with.
Mm.
And so anything pertaining to energetics, luminous field, et cetera, that's where I work. That's the realm I work with. And then the other strength that I have is also working with the mental body, with being able to help you view life in the different ways. We like to term it as empowerment. But really what I help you do is bring your conscious awareness so fully to present on your own, showing you a method by which to do that so that you can shift your life and come into that divine flow. So that's where the work herein lies work. And I just wanted to make sure I answered that question for you.
Yeah, beautiful. Wow. It's a wow, everyone. I mean, there's so many things I could ask you. All right. So, what do you see for yourself in your own heart of hearts?
Mhm. What I see for myself and what spirit has directed me to do might be two different things.
Hmm.
So what I see for myself is that I want to live a legacy. I want to leave a legacy that is memorable, that has lifted so many people up that it has a ripple effect.
Hmm.
That's what I see for myself. That's what I want to do. That's what I look for when I'm in speaking events, because I do a lot of speaking events, or when I'm teaching, is that the seed is planted in that it grows in the hearts of so many others, and that it has a positive impact and effect in lifting people up. It means so much to me. And then what spirit looks for us to do, it sometimes takes such different shapes and forms. I look at myself and I go, how did I get here? What am I doing? And how am I going to do this way? But what we have to find for ourselves and how we deliver sometimes are two different things. So in my heart of hearts, I just want to leave a positive mark in the world. I want, when people remember Enolia Foti, or that they remember something, just something beautiful, something positive, something something that truly just leaves a positive mark on the world. But isn't that what we all want?
Hmm. And it's a balance sometimes to go back and forth with creating and working with both.
Yes,
And
it is.
and yet they're connected.
They're absolutely connected. They are.
So you work with the earth. You're an earth
Hmm.
keeper.
Hmm.
How is our earth?
Our earth is going through major transformation right now. And for all of you who are out there, I know that you are feeling the releases. You are feeling potentially animated. Some people are feeling physical pain. because right now the solar flares from the sun, the moon being at its strongest point this last full moon, the energy around this and surrounding us is being received by Mother Earth. And understanding that she's crystalline at her core, she's reflecting it right back to us. And so, understanding all of that, we know that the basic biorhythm of Mother Earth is going through its own energy shift and change. And us, as the people living upon her, are feeling it. So she's good, she's changing. And
And what do you think she's transforming into and becoming?
well, you know, that's an interesting and that's a really excellent question because all of us have our ideas of what going from 3D to 4D looks like, what 3D to 5D looks like, what an
Mm,
upgrade looks like, and everything else, right?
mm,
And frankly, I believe that shifting is taking place because how does that come about? Except for the fact that the earth is changing its own rhythm, impacts us all, whether we like it or not. And what does that change amount to? And many of us are growing and going through different functions and feelings, and it's really impactful.
I want to ask you a question that just came to me, but I don't want you to feel put on the spot
Okay.
because it's kind of a surprise question, but it came to me and I thought, wow, how fun would it be to ask this?
Okay.
Okay. So, can I share a little bit about what we it's not a super personal thing,
Okay.
but it could be, but is it do you trust me to share it?
Yes, I trust you.
Okay, thank you. So when I spoke with you once, we spoke a few times. Um, I said, "Wow, I really feel a connection with you and the octopi." And
Yeah.
the octopi are these amazing animals in the rainforest in Africa, near where the pygmies are.
Hmm.
So when we were talking about the earth and I was asking you all those questions about the earth, it came to me to ask you this question without feeling put on the spot. What messages do the octopi want to communicate or bring through? Can you feel them?
And so the relationship with living beings, all living beings,
Mm,
is what they represent. And okay, so, you know, we have this relationship with each other as people.
mhm,
And some people have relationships with animals, right?
mm,
But there is a frequency by which all of us can communicate.
mhm,
And I've actually had communications with horses, I've had communications with zebras where it's like it's like having a conversation without ever opening your word, your mouth. And I just felt like the occupy is a reminder of that,
mm.
right? A reminder of what we are capable of bringing forward with each other as human beings, as well as with animals and everything else, that we're going to be able to have conversations, telepathically conversations, and we're going to be able to engage. And, you know, it starts with them for me.
I can tell you one thing for sure.
What's that?
They have a gift for you.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, it's gonna be wow.
Wow. Okay.
So exciting. Yeah. You know how like you were waiting for your teachers and things?
Yes.
They've been waiting for you.
Wow. Okay. You know, it's funny because I'm one of those people that I mean, I love animals. And
Mm,
one of the biggest learnings that I ever had, I walked across the east and west Tsavo parks of Kenya on a walking safari, 100 miles. And we walked with the Maasai. And I was
wow.
actually with David Pramal
That's
and
like being a that's like being in a dream.
and the biggest teaching that I learned is that the animals look at us as just another herd
Hmm.
of animals, right? We walked 10 feet, 15 feet away from pods of hippopotamuses, some of the most dangerous animals you can walk by that are wild. 20, 30 feet away from wild elephants, you know, walking by and the herds of antelope and watching a cheetah take down an alligator, walking through alligator infested streams, the Savo rivers, okay, and singing, you know, singing loudly so that they'd shy away from us and learning that that's all it took. You know, many of us are afraid of being out there in the wild with the other animals, watching the lions with their cubs just hang out and sleep because it was a lazy, hot day, not interested in us, you know? And it changed my whole attitude. It changed everything because when I could see that the relationship of the animals was one of respect and just staying with their own, and all this fear and trepidation I always had being a city girl, right? Because I'm from New York City and I was just like, what? We're gonna do what? Okay, I can do this, I can do this. And you know, at first being afraid and then coming into my fearlessness, actually encountering and experiencing it was amazing. It
See,
was
you have a whole series of books that you haven't even gotten to. Like, you know, it would be a great movie. Like, what's
yeah,
a girl from New York doing walking 100 miles with the Maasai, you know, and or what's a girl from New York doing at the Ojibwe reservation in northern Canada? It's like
yeah,
that's
yeah.
like it, it goes beyond anything that we can fully wrap our minds around. You have such a big path and purpose and destiny here to have those kinds of experiences to be able to open your heart to and share and communicate and wow.
And how I got there was pretty wild too, because I got there, I was at a women's retreat in Chile. And I'll never forget grandmother Luz Clara basically telling me, you need to go home. And I'm like, what, go home to New York City? And she's like, no, you need to go home to Africa. You need to go home and you need to do it by yourself in a pilgrimage. And I'm like, how am I going to get to Africa by myself, you know, as a pilgrimage? And I don't know anything about it. And I'll never forget because we were doing Vision Quest at that time, and I went up in the top of the Andes, and we all spread out into our own little private section. And I remember saying this prayer to Spirit to say, "Okay, Spirit, if you really want me to go to Africa, I will go, but I don't know how to get there. You have to find and provide a way to get me there." And I remember Marcela Lobos calling us back. She was the one who was running the retreat. And I came back early because I had finished everything that I was doing. And I'm sitting next to her, and she's talking to a friend of hers and basically saying, you know, a friend of mine wants me to go to Africa with her, but I don't feel called to go. Do you want to go, Lorraine? And Lorraine's like, I don't want to go. I'm from the Philippines. You know, Africa's the same. I don't need to go, but I know Enolia wants to go. And they both turned around and they looked at me, and I'm like, no way. I just said this prayer 5 minutes ago about Spirit, if you want me to go, I'll go. And 5 minutes later, It was Marcela Lobos who asked me if I wanted to go into her place to this walking safari.
Wow.
When you're supposed to go, you're supposed to go.
Yeah.
When spirit provides a way, it's laid out. And I'm telling you, the alignment is just unbelievable.
I'm just taking it all in. It's just, it's such a beautiful path and life and stories within stories. I know what I want to ask you about though. I've been to Peru many times.
Mhm.
I used to take groups to work with the shamans, and there's no country anywhere that I've been to that has touched my heart and and as deeply as Peru. It's just, I mean, I have a big heart connection with, you know, other places, but Peru, there's something about it where they haven't lost their connection to the earth. And the Kiro people are so amazing. And most
They are.
people don't even really know about them unless they've been to Peru or seen things about Peru. So, can you talk about your your joy and time with them?
My joy in my time with the Kiro was amazing. And I hold them, they're my brothers and sisters in my heart to this very day and to this very moment. I had the honor of being able to go up to the villages of the Kiro and spending time with the Kiro at their homes a few times. And for anybody who doesn't know this, that's at like, I don't know, 20, 30,000 feet. I mean, that's higher than the Colorado mountains. It's so high up in the Andes that when you wake up, you start off with the cloud cover on the ground. And then the cloud cover actually raises up and the frost comes off and the moisture from the clouds comes away and dissipates little by little. And then maybe, I mean, you can reach up and touch the clouds.
Mm,
And the Kiros are the only people that I know, they are a lineage of shamans. When they are born, they are shamans. When they are elders, you know, they will have lived the way. And I talk about shamanism being the harmonious way of living. That's how they live. They live harmoniously with the land, you know, raising their alpaca in their huts, in their homes, made from the earth, okay? And their way of life is very simplistic, you know, without all of the technology, without all of everything. Weaving being their main piece, growing potatoes and taking care of the alpaca, and then having that beautiful relationship with the earth and everything so that what they take from the earth, they give back to the earth, you know, and that which is born of the earth, like the alpaca, is what they take care of. You have the 13 rites of the Munai Ki, each being an initiation that they go through for them, certain periods of times in their lives. For us as outsiders coming in, you know, learning the way that the Kiros lives and then being gifted that right from them, which I feel is the highest honor you can. Understanding that the highest right that you could ever have with the Kiros Indian is the ultra messiah rights. And that's when you've been hit by lightning,
mm,
okay, right there in the Andes. But it's not that you just get hit by lightning, but you get hit by lightning and you go through a protocol they take you through. And if you are able to fulfill that protocol and you're alive, then you have the highest rights within their community. And it is community. There's 6 villages, and I'm very familiar with 2 of them. And they all take care of one another in the village. And then they all share information from village to village also. So it's a beautiful, simplistic way of living. And it's just, I love it. I love it.
And most people don't know this or realize this, but do you know how many potato varieties there are in the Andes?
I think there's something like, my first initial guess would be like 40 or 50, but I think it's higher than that. I think
I
there's
thought it
like
was about 300 different kinds of
yeah,
varieties
I think it's hundreds
there.
of different varieties of potatoes. My favorite being the purple one that they make the drink out of. I forgot the name of that
The
potato.
chicha.
That's it, the chicha. I
Uh,
love that.
yeah. Wow. It is, there's nothing like it. And did you feel like you were waking up in another dimension the whole time you were there?
Yes. And not only that, you don't realize how strong they are. Really strong. I would walk, I don't know, 15, 20 feet and have to stop and catch my breath because the air is so thin. And then I could walk another 20 feet to get to the 100-foot location that I wanted to go from one house to another. I'd have to stop twice, 3 times in order to get from one house to another because the air is so thin and their lungs are so strong and so adjusted.
And,
Whereas
and because they have those lightning protocols, do a lot of people up there get hit by lightning?
not as many as you would think.
Hmm.
Like those rights, they worry about it because it doesn't happen as frequently as you would think it would. And
Hmm.
so if those rights and that lineage isn't passed down generation to generation, then something is lost, you know?
Yeah.
So not as frequently as you would think. Yeah.
And where do you feel called to go still where you haven't been?
Wow, there's so much to see. This is a big, beautiful world. And some of us, I always love that thought that some of us cast our net and we hang out in our community, and some of us in our state, and some of us the states that surround us. And then there are those of us who cast our net around the world. I'm one of those people who cast their net around the world. I want to see the world. I want to see everything. you know, there are so many beautiful places in Asia that I've never been to Asia. I've never been to, the Indonesia area,
Hmm.
and I want to go. I passed through China on an airplane, and I've been in the China airport. That's it. I want to see Asia.
Yeah,
You
I
know,
think it would be magnificent.
I think so too. I'm still discovering India. I went to Nepal. There's so many beautiful places, and there's so many beautiful cultures.
Yeah,
And being
it
that
is.
cultural person, I love that.
Our planet is truly a jewel.
Yeah, yeah, it truly is. And
Have you
people are amazing.
have you gotten to work with any of the Aboriginal elders in Australia?
No, and I feel called to go there. And I've gotten to Australia to just below Sydney and spent time at I want to call it Golden Beach, Golden State Beach, or it's yeah, yeah. It's just outside of Sydney. But
Hmm.
no, I wanna go more north. I want to see the rock, the rock.
That
And
it's the one country I've spent my most time in outside of the States because I lived there for a while, 2 different times, and I still haven't been to the Rock,
okay,
the Uluru.
okay.
Um,
Yes, Uluru, but I feel called there. And so I feel it's like this, right? Anything that's done with the Aborigines is with song. And so in dream time, I sing. And in dream time, I hear song. And when that song is where it's supposed to be, it'll be the perfect time to go.
I'm sure songs just come to you other than the ones you learn from,
Yeah, they do.
and so even though you, people might not call themselves a songwriter or anything like that, I feel that it would be magical and healing to write a song for the Akapai.
Oh, I like that. Okay. Because the last song that I wrote, I actually wrote for water, for the ocean.
Mm.
And I call it Wave After Wave. It's actually on iTunes. Yeah.
Wow, I'll have to go listen.
Yeah. And on my website too, but Wave After Wave is a song that I wrote, and I was looking at the ocean, and I'll never forget because it was like I see you. I see
Mhm.
you. Yeah. But SEE, and it has like a double meaning for everything that I'm talking about the ocean, you could think for yourself.
Mm, beautiful.
Yeah.
And you told me you had been to New Zealand too.
Yes.
How was
Yes.
that? How was
Oh,
that for you?
New Zealand by far, so far from all of the places I've been to, holds a special place in my heart. I was grateful to the Waitaha and meeting the Waitaha chief Te and the beautiful grandmothers, grandmother Mary, grandmother Kay, just so many beautiful people there. And learning from them and going to sacred areas that only the Waitaha visit
Mm,
and understanding how they take care of their dead and understanding what the North Island meets where the Indian Ocean comes to the Pacific. There's so many beautiful things that they shared and seeing their sacred tree and being able to I made a drum in New Zealand, so that in and of itself was very special to me and I hold that dear. And the beaches are just gorgeous. I actually doubled back to New Zealand and spent a month out there by myself. Just being on the land raises your vibration.
it's
And it
it's it's
wasn't
truly
about
it's truly indescribable. I've been
indescribable,
mm,
indescribable. And it wasn't about visiting people when I went back. It was literally about me taking that next pilgrimage because now I'm used to wanting to go by myself and being by myself and spending time on the land and just being with me, you know,
I
and that was the
I
location.
I felt an amazing energy when I was there. It surprised me. I went to this one town on the North Island on the coast, um, and it was beautiful, like all of New Zealand. But this town had an energy to it, and I felt the wind there at the ocean, and it was just so exhilarating to be there. It's called Fitianga with a
Okay.
W because they say their W is like F's. Fitianga. Amazing.
Yeah. And what I love about New Zealand the most is that, okay, what I love about New Zealand the most too is that the people use the indigenous language as their main language.
Mm,
And I love that because it is the original language of the island and it's not overrun because outsiders have come in. The
yeah.
outsiders come in and learn the language. So when you go and you visit the marae or you visit the main house of a particular place where you've been invited to, for the nation that you're dealing with, you know, in our case, the marae of the Waiataha. It was beautiful to be sung into the marae, you know, to be greeted by putting your foreheads together and your noses together in the traditional manner, you know, and that you sang everything that you wanted to engage the other person with to communicate. How, you know, the traditions are just so beautiful and so warm and so heartfelt. And to experience that firsthand, unforgettable.
Yeah, amazing. And so now you're in Africa,
Yes.
which there's so much that one could ask or say about that. Are you still surprised?
No, I'm not. I'm supposed to be here. You know,
Yeah.
we each are light workers and we each are a beacon of light. And so here's where I set my lighthouse down. Here's where my beacon sits. And here's where the work that I've engaged impacts people all over the world. And it's just a matter of where I sit for now, you
Yeah.
know? Yeah.
Yeah. That is you have a truly remarkable life and gifts. And how can people find you with your website and everything?
So if you want to know about my work, what I offer, everything, you can just go to HTTPS. It's enolia.live. Enolia.live. That's it. My name.live. And what you'll find there are my master classes, my group classes, my shamanic sessions, my books, speaking events. I do a little bit of everything. I have a podcast. I give platform to podcasts and meeting people. And
Mm.
David's going to come out on ours too. And, you know, just being able to give voice to the voiceless. Some people don't have the opportunity to get to a platform where they can just speak their truth. And I try to invite people that want to share,
Mm.
you know, that really want to make a difference in this world. And you don't have to be famous to do that. You know, some of the most phenomenal people I've met are like you and me. We're just out here and we're working hard and we're giving and we're sharing and we want to make an impact and we want to lift people's lives to the better. And we want to give back to the universe that which the universe has given to us.
Have you
So,
had any have you had any lessons or teachers that were tricksters?
mm,
Not in a bad way, but just in
not bad. Mm-mm.
a trickster kind of way.
Well, I think that every trickster is the teacher. Isn't that the case?
Yeah, I probably, yeah.
I mean, you know, so
But it's kind of
the
funny though what
situation
happened
is, yes, there have been tricksters, and yes, I learned a lot from them. I don't know
because you
that they were my official teacher, but they taught me a lot.
you have to you have to laugh about it sometimes.
You do. You do. Otherwise, you'd be angry all the time,
Mm.
you know?
Yeah, bless all the tricksters. I wanna just say that on here, you
Yeah,
know? Bless you all for being such amazing teachers.
yeah. But thank you. Yeah. People can get in touch with me at my website. I'm on all the social medias, and my name is always in it. So Enolia Foti, Enolia empowers Enolia. And there's not that many of us out there.
Tell people, because I think this is fascinating too. It's a whole other part of you. Tell people about your formal education background. It's just so fascinating.
Okay, so I attended the University of Massachusetts and I majored in mathematics. And then I went to Regis University and I was top of my class for business. And then I earned two honorary doctorates, one in humanities and one in peace, through the United Nations and the United, I'm forgetting the name of the organization. But anyway, I worked, I was recognized for the work that I'm doing with empowerment across the world and working with different organizations with my nonprofit Expressions of Humanity. And yeah, I'm definitely an entrepreneur, definitely.
It's amazing. I mean, mathematics, I'm glad it came so easy and natural to you. I could barely wrap my head around mathematics.
Oh my gosh, and I'm loving it right now because like math is about being turned upside down. Actor Terrence Howard is questioning the basis of mathematics, and I'm loving it because now we're watching the growth of mathematics, and it's amazing. So, and I know you're gonna go like, ah, but Euclidean, he's challenging Euclidean geometry, which is like
I
fantastic
saw
because
I saw
they
that.
you saw that, right? And so he's basically saying with the mathematics that we have now, it's not accurate. And if it's not accurate, how can you ever be interstellar or intergalactic if it's not accurate? I mean, if we have, these dreams of being this interstellar community, intergalactic community or world, then the math has to be accurate and it has to coincide with physics. And you can't have quantum mechanics and you can't have quantum theory and the math isn't accurate. So we needed somebody to uproot this. And it's to me, it's an exciting time in mathematics. So I've been reading like crazy.
And how does the because I don't know a lot about this, but I've heard of it, but I know you've been studying it. The gematria.
Gematria is just numerology, and I've been learning this numerology based on the Kabbalah,
Mm,
right? So, in understanding the gematria, what you're really looking at is instead of seeing mathematics in a linear way, you're really looking at it in how do I best term it? Looking at it in its totality. You can't come at it linearly. You just can't come at it's like learning God's math. God didn't do
yeah,
one thing at a time. God created the world, or however, the universe came all together.
and
So
is it
being
blowing
able
your
to,
mind? Is it blowing your studying it? Is it just blowing your mind?
it's blowing my mind because I have to work at this because I don't think that way. It's a shift in your thinking,
Mhm.
and so to be able to think 3D and think 4D is a whole nother level. This is why I'm loving it. And I went back to the works of Walter Russell, suggested by Terrence Howard. And I'm loving the work that I'm reading there. It's really fascinating work when you go back and you read previous teachers who can just blow your mind with that. But the gematria piece, I was reading the biblical studies of I always get this word wrong. Phenomenology,
Mm.
phenomenology, the biblical works, and it actually just takes the whole level of how we use grammar, how we use everything defined, and lays it out so beautifully, and then introduces it into the different various areas of that learning. It's a lot of fun, but that's another side of me.
I had this moment where I noticed one day, like an ant or ants in the yard, and the universe of our world is so big, they probably would never experience most of it except for the areas that they travel on. in the yard or around the yard. And then if you shift that scale and that perspective, if you go to us as human beings, and then you look at all the universes, we're probably like an ant on that scale. It's so
Yeah, it is
fascinating
fascinating.
how much unknown there is.
And then how much our view is limited, because we talk about quantum theory and we talk about different dimensions, and we have this view of the dimensions, maybe one's over here and one's over there, and but that what we're learning is that we're all the dimensions are right on top of each other, that they're just all squished down. And really, if you thought about the world like a fractal, that we're just in another part of something else, that's in another part of something else, that's in another part of something else, repeating itself over and over and over again.
Hmm.
It's much grander than we actually think, and it's much closer than we actually think.
It's a wide discovery with lots of space and room still to discover.
Yes, very much so. Very, very much so.
Thank you. Thank you for being
Thank
the
you.
amazing blessing and gift you are in our world and for everyone.
Thank you for having me, and thank you for being that beacon of light that attracts people like myself. Because when I saw you, it was like, I gotta meet him.
I'm so glad because I have such a great connection for you with you. It's just so easy and good in every way. So
Thank you.
thank
Thank you.
you. And please give your website address to everybody again.
Yes, that's enolia.live on the website. And I'm on Facebook, I'm on Instagram, I'm on LinkedIn, I'm on X. So it's all there. And I have a podcast on YouTube called The Infinite Way. And yeah, it's all there for everyone. So please do take a look.
Thank you, everybody, so much for being here with us. Thank you, Dr. Enolia Foti. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank
Many
you for
blessings.
blessings to you too. Take care.